Welcome to the Business English Podcast, where we help non-native English professionals master language skills that they need to succeed in the business world. I'm Rob, your host today, and we're diving into a topic that every professional will face at some point in their career: receiving bad news. Have you ever been in a situation where you received unexpected, difficult news at work and found yourself at a loss for words? Perhaps you were in a high-stakes meeting, or maybe during a crucial presentation, and you needed to respond gracefully and professionally. In this episode, we're going to equip you with advanced English expressions to handle those tough moments with confidence and composure. Why is it so important, you ask? Well, handling bad news well can not only maintain your professionalism, but also turn a challenging situation into an opportunity for growth and leadership. Imagine impressing your colleagues and superiors with your poise and eloquence, even when the news isn't that great. Intrigued? Stick around, because by the end of this episode, you'll have 6 powerful phrases in your arsenal that will help you navigate these tricky scenarios seamlessly. But before we get into those phrases, let's talk briefly about the principles and techniques that will underpin your use of these expressions. Mastering the language is one thing, but knowing how and when to use it effectively is what will truly set you apart. So, are you ready to transform the way you handle bad news in a professional setting? Let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business English Podcast, helping professionals communicate more effectively, more confidently, and with impact. With your host, Rob, from Energetic English. Let's get down to business. Before we dive into the phrases that will help you handle bad news like a pro, let's take a moment to discuss the principles and techniques that will make these phrases even more effective. Firstly, why is it so crucial to handle bad news professionally? In the business world, your reaction to bad news can significantly impact your reputation, relationships, and career progression. Showing resilience, composure, and empathy not only helps you manage the situation better, but also demonstrates leadership qualities. So, how do you ensure you're responding to the news in the best way possible? Let's talk about a few key techniques. First up, active listening. This is your foundation, and we have talked about this a lot on the podcast. When you receive bad news, your first instinct might be to react immediately. Instead, focus on truly understanding what's being said. This means listening actively, without interrupting, and asking clarifying questions if needed. Not only does this show respect, but it also gives you a moment to process the information and respond thoughtfully. Next up is stay calm and collected. It's easy to let emotions take over when you hear something negative. However, maintaining your composure is essential. Take a deep breath, count to 3, or do whatever helps to stay calm. Remember, your ability to stay collected reflects your professionalism and ability to handle pressure. Now we have positive body language. Non-verbal cues speak volumes. Keep an open posture, make eye contact, and avoid crossing your arms or showing signs of frustration. Positive body language can help convey that you're receptive and resilient even in challenging situations. Empathetic responses. Acknowledge the situation with empathy. This doesn't mean that you have to agree with the bad news, but showing that you understand and care about the implications can help build trust and rapport. Phrases like, "I understand that this is a tough situation," can go a long way in demonstrating empathy. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. These techniques are not just about managing bad news, they're about transforming how others perceive you in moments of adversity. Imagine being seen as the person who remains unflappable, empathetic, and thoughtful no matter what comes your way. Interested? Good, because in the next section, we're going to arm you with 6 specific phrases that will help you do just that. Ready to learn these game-changing expressions? Let's keep going. Alright, now that we've covered the principles and techniques, it's time to dive into those powerful phrases that will help you handle bad news with professionalism and poise. I'm going to introduce each phrase, give you a moment to repeat it, and then explain when and how you can use it effectively in a business setting. Ready? Phrase 1. Roll with the punches. Repeat after me. Roll with the punches. This phrase means to adapt to difficult situations with resilience. Imagine you're in a meeting and your team just learned about unexpected budget cuts. You could say, "We've faced challenges before and we've always managed to roll with the punches." This shows that you're adaptable and ready to face the challenges head on. Phrase 2. Take it on the chin. Repeat after me. Take it on the chin. This means to accept criticism or a setback bravely without showing it affects you. Picture this. During a performance review, you receive some tough feedback. Instead of getting defensive, you respond, "I'll take it on the chin and use this feedback to improve my performance." This demonstrates maturity and a willingness to learn. Phrase 3. It's a tough pill to swallow. Repeat after me. It's a tough pill to swallow. This indicates something difficult to accept. Let's say you're in a project debrief and your team has just learned that a major contract was lost. You might say, "Losing the contract is a tough pill to swallow, but we need to analyze where we went wrong." This shows you acknowledge the difficulty while focusing on learning and improvement. Phrase 4. Bite the bullet. Repeat after me. Bite the bullet. A personal favourite of mine. To bite the bullet means to endure a painful situation with courage. Imagine you have to discuss layoffs with your team. You could say, "We have to bite the bullet and make these tough decisions for the future of the company." This conveys that you understand the gravity of the situation and are ready to face it head on. Phrase 5. Weather the storm. Repeat after me. Weather the storm. This means to survive a difficult situation. In a shareholder meeting, you might reassure everyone by saying, "We can weather the storm if we stick to our strategy." This phrase is great for showing resilience and confidence in your team's ability to overcome the challenges. Phrase 6. Chalk it up to experience. Repeat after me. Chalk it up to experience. This means to regard a negative situation as a learning opportunity. After a failed product launch, you could say to your team, "Let's chalk it up to experience and use these lessons for our next project." This shows that you're focused on growth and learning, even from setbacks. So there you have it, 6 phrases that can transform how you handle bad news in a professional setting. But what are some key final tips to keep in mind when using these phrases? We'll cover that next. So stay tuned. Now that you have these powerful phrases in your toolkit, let's go over a few final tips to ensure you're using them effectively in any professional setting. Firstly, practice active listening. Remember, the key to responding well to bad news starts with truly understanding it. Make sure you listen carefully to the details before you respond. This not only shows respect, but also helps you choose the most appropriate phrase and response. Next up, keep emotions in check. It's natural to feel a surge of emotions when faced with bad news. However, maintaining your composure is crucial. Take a deep breath, count to 3, or even take a brief pause before responding. This will help you stay calm and collected, ensuring your response is measured and professional. Next, we have follow up appropriately. After using these phrases to respond to bad news, it's important to follow up with appropriate actions. Whether it's scheduling a meeting to discuss next steps, sending a follow-up email, or simply checking in with the concerned parties, taking action shows that you're proactive and committed to addressing the issue. Now we have reflect and learn. Every challenging situation is an opportunity to learn and grow. After the dust has settled, take some time to reflect on what happened and how you handled it. Consider what went well and what you can improve next time. This will help you continue to develop your skills and be even more prepared for future challenges. So, how will you apply these tips and phrases in your own professional life? Think about the situations you might face and how you can use these tools to navigate them with confidence and professionalism. So that brings us to the end of today's episode of the Business English Podcast. I hope you found our discussion on handling bad news with advanced English phrases both insightful and practical. Remember, mastering these phrases and techniques can make a significant difference in how you're perceived in the business world. Whether it's in meetings, presentations, or everyday office interactions, having the right words at the right time can set you apart. If you've enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an update. And why not share this podcast with your colleagues? You never know who might benefit from these tips. If you've got any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out on our social media channels or drop me an email directly. Your feedback helps us tailor content to what you need the most. Stay tuned for our next episode where we'll dive into more advanced business English skills that will help you shine in your career. Thank you for listening to the Business English Podcast. I'm Rob, signing off. Keep practicing, stay resilient, and of course, keep it strictly business. You have been listening to the Business English Podcast. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and we'll see you next time.